Good afternoon and welcome to Premier League Live this Sunday afternoon. We'll be a jam-packed 2 o'clock kickoffs, three 2 o'clock kickoffs this afternoon. Our focus game is at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea, who fell to their first away defeat of the season last weekend at Anfield, they are bouncing back and they face a Newcastle side who have maybe not played the best football this season, but have maybe scraped through and got some unexpected results. It's kind of gone against them in the last few games. They'll be hoping to cause a bit of an upset here this afternoon if they can turn over Enzo Maresca's Chelsea, who seem to be high-flying at the moment, especially at home. Also this afternoon we have a London derby at Sellers Park. Winless Crystal Palace take on Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham. Young Mikey Moore starts for Tottenham this afternoon. It's a hot topic around Spurs amongst the big young talents coming through in the Premier League. He starts this afternoon for Spurs as they head to Palace. And a big day for Manchester United as they head to West Ham United in the London Stadium. Two sides that I called a roller coaster set of teams yesterday. Stick by that in the fact that you don't know what to expect from either team. We will see what to expect from Manchester United after their 1-1 draw away at Fenerbahce in the Europa League in midweek. Of course, Manchester United, Tottenham and Chelsea all in European action on Thursday night, and all getting positive results, shall we call it. Spurs and Chelsea both winning, and Manchester United getting a draw away at Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce. And then later on, the Premier League weekend comes to a close at the Emirates as two of last season's top three, Arsenal against Liverpool at 4:30, what you would call one of the biggest tests of the season for Arne Slot's Liverpool. Very early in the season, only 8 games down, and we'll see what they can do so far. 7 wins in their first 8, and Liverpool looking to make it 8 out of 9, and it would be a big result if they could do that against Arsenal, who are unbeaten against both Liverpool and Manchester City in the last 2 seasons. Right, jam-packed Sunday then for you here on LFS. Of course, as I said, our feature commentary game this afternoon is at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea against Newcastle United, two sides that are realistic hopes of European football. Chelsea, maybe with the season that the start of the season they've had, maybe pushing for Champions League more than other European competition. For Newcastle, more mid-table success for them. Only 3 wins from their first 8 games, but only 2 defeats in that time. They have one of the best defensive records, but one of the lowest scoring records in the league. There's not much when Newcastle come to town, but what they do is grind out results and certainly keep the opponents guessing as to what's going to happen next. They lost last time out when they lost 1-0 at home to Brighton last Saturday, after that 0-0 draw with Everton just 2 weeks earlier. It's not been the best of run of form for Newcastle. You could say something different for Chelsea, albeit. In fact, they drew here with Nottingham Forest a few weeks ago, and then the defeat to Liverpool last weekend. They bounced back, of course, with that European win away at Panathinaikos in the week. We will see what both of these two teams have to offer. Chelsea in 7th. They can push themselves up the table and can probably push into that top 4 depending on goal difference. A Newcastle side who can go above Chelsea if they can beat them this afternoon. Right, that is to come. Quickly, let's get you team news from those other 2 games before we bring you the team news from Stamford Bridge. Quickly with Crystal Palace Tottenham. Palace winless in their first 8 Premier League games. Dean Henderson continues in goal. Back 5 of Daniel Munoz, Maxence Lacroix, Mark Guehi the captain, Trevor Chalobah and Tyreek Mitchell. Adam Wharton and Jefferson Lerma are in midfield with Ismaila Sarr, Eberieze and Jean-Philippe Mateta leading the line for Palace. With the travelling Spurs, Guillermo Vicario starts in goal. Pedro Porro, Christian Romero the captain, Mickey van de Ven and Destiny Udogie are the defenders. Yves Bissouma, James Maddison and Dejan Kulusevski are in midfield, with Mikey Moore starting off the left, Dominic Solanke through the middle and Brennan Johnson off the right. Interestingly enough for Tottenham, no Heung-min Son, of course, this afternoon. Interestingly enough, that is, for Spurs. We'll see what that is. Kick-off, of course, 2 o'clock there at Sellers Park. And then to the London Stadium, another game in the capital this afternoon. Lukasz Fabianski starts in goal for West Ham. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Kilman and Emerson are the back 4. Guido Rodriguez and Edson Alvarez in the midfield too, with Carlos Soler a bit further forward. Jared Bowen, the captain, off the right flank. Lucas Paqueta off the left. And Mikel Antonio leading the line for the Hammers. For the travelling Manchester United, Andre Onana starts in goal. Dalot, De Ligt, Martinez and Mazraoui start in defence. Mazraoui starts in defence this time after he started in the number 10 role in midweek. Christian Eriksen and Casemiro are the defensive midfield too, with Bruno Fernandes returning after his suspension in Europe. He captains the side. Alejandro Garnacho off the right, Rashford off the left, and Rasmus Højlund leading the line for Manchester United. So, those are the teams from our other two games. We'll keep you to date with the scores from those two. But it is time to get to Stamford Bridge because it is getting the players just coming out onto the field. Chelsea, of course, in their traditional blue, and Newcastle in their black and white stripes. And they're ready to get lined up and get underway then. And we will have kick-off and team news from Stamford Bridge in just a second. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Premier League Live. Kick-off from our 2 o'clock games on the way in just a second. Let's get your team news from Stamford Bridge then for Chelsea against Newcastle. These are the two teams. Robert Sanchez starts in goal for Chelsea. Had some shockers last week against Liverpool at Anfield, but looking to make up for that this afternoon. Reece James starts his second game in a row for Chelsea, his first game at Stamford Bridge since December last year. He captains the Chelsea team this afternoon. He's joined alongside the returning Wesley Fofana, who was suspended last week. Levi Colwill and Malo Gusto continue in defence. Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia, who had that really impressive performance at Anfield last week, they continue in midfield with Cole Palmer through the middle. Noni Madueke off the right. Pedro Neto, who came off the bench last week, he starts off the left. And Nicholas Jackson, who scored Chelsea's goal last weekend, he starts up front. On the bench, Jorgensen, Cucurella, Tosin, Sancho Vega, Enzo, Mudryk, Felix and Nkunku. For the travelling Newcastle, Nick Pope starts in goal. Valentino Livramento starts off the right back. Fabian Schär and Dan Burn are the centre backs, with Lewis Hall at left back. Bruno Guimaraes, the captain, is in defensive midfield alongside Joe Linton and Sandro Tonali, with Miguel Almiron off the right, Harvey Barnes off the left, and Alexander Isak through the middle. On the bench for Newcastle is Vlachodimos, Ruddy, Kraft, Kelly, Willock, Longstaff, Miley, Osula and Murphy. It's Chelsea Blue against the Toon Army at Stamford Bridge. Two sides that really have been indifferent. Newcastle, not the best of form this season, not the best of football, but certainly getting the results they need. And a Chelsea who have looked better under Enzo Maresca, but maybe just not the finished article just yet. Kick-off at Stamford Bridge is next. Good afternoon and welcome to Premier League Live this afternoon for this game in the Premier League between Chelsea and Newcastle United. We'll wait and see what these two can offer us this afternoon, what they're capable of. A Newcastle side who have said multiple times this season have scraped through games and got results maybe by the skin of their teeth, but a Chelsea side who feel much more positive about the surroundings here at the Bridge and much more positive about their team's performances this season and the results as well to go with it. It is certainly set up to be an interesting matchup this afternoon as we get underway then here at the Bridge. And Chelsea only fell to their second Premier League defeat of the season last weekend away at Liverpool. The only other defeat was at home to Manchester City on the opening weekend of the season. It's not a bad record to have only your only two defeats coming against one of the two top teams in the league, especially when you're going for top four. As Tonali tried to step on the heavy touch there, as Caicedo gives it away. Tonali tried to play it down the left, and Chelsea throwing bodies in the way, and getting the ball back in their own half again. I have to say, watching Chelsea this season, it has been impressive in moments with the football that they play under Enzo Maresca. Some big results. That 4-2 here against Brighton a few weeks ago was probably one of the most impressive performances this season for Chelsea, albeit against a very naive defence of Brighton. As here comes Madueke down the right-hand side here for Chelsea. The first attack of the game. Madueke breaks into the box, cuts it across and into the hands of Nick Pope in his own 6-yard box. But a blistering bit of pace from Noni Madueke. Lots of space in that right-hand side. Lewis Hall just doesn't want to track out to him too quickly. Just steps off and steps off. Allows Madueke to break into the box, giving him too much respect and space on that right-hand side. And could have paid the price for that there, Newcastle, if the cross was better. But here they come on the counter-attack. Isak, he's down the right-hand side now. Gets to the byline, chips it across. Headed away by Colwill. Brought down again by Isak. Now Almiron. Miguel Almiron off the right flank. Feints it in behind for Tonali making the run. Tonali at the byline. And I think he might have been offside there when he was covered over by Reece James. I have to say, very interesting start this. I have to say, it looks like Reece James is at left back. He is. Interesting. Reece James, typically a right back. Malo Gusto can play left, but is on the right hand side this afternoon for whatever reason that is. I'm unsure. At this moment in time, I was expecting Reece James to be on the right, but he's on the left for the moment anyway, as Caicedo spins away from his man. It's Jackson now breaking through. He's got 3 options. Plays it to Madueke on the edge of the box. Cuts onto his left. Madueke straight at Nick Pope again. Certainly looking a threat early doors is Noni Madueke. Really good play into Jackson's feet. He spins away from, I think it might be Dan Burn, who tracked him all the way and then just played it out to Noni Madueke. There was lots of options there. He had Cole Palmer and Pedro Neto running with him there, Jackson. Took the right option on Madueke in the shot. Pretty tame towards Nick Pope in the end for the Chelsea right winger. He tried to bypass the midfield again. Finds Palmer, who's dragged down there by Tonali. And Chelsea will get the free kick around about the halfway line. And here they come again. Jackson in behind for Cole Palmer. They want the flag. Palmer finds the net. And it will be 1-0 to Chelsea. Newcastle wanted the flag. It never came from the assistant. And Cole Palmer, as cool as you like, rolls it past Nick Pope and gives Chelsea the lead inside 4 minutes. Chelsea 1, Newcastle United 0. And Newcastle look befuddled as the high's not offside. We'll see it again. Lovely turn by Jackson. And Palmer. Ooh, that looks tight. Very, very tight. I think the VAR might have to get involved here. And I think they will. Just see it from the opposite angle. It does look just offside, does Cole Palmer. So VAR might have something to say about this. They gave Chelsea a goal that was disallowed at Anfield on the field last week, but this goal given on the field, and I think VAR might have the opposite action. I think they might say that Cole Palmer's just straight offside there. Our VAR this afternoon is Jared Gillett, and he will be relaying that information to the referee. And referee this afternoon is Simon Hooper, so we'll be in conjunction with each other to figure out this situation. They are drawing the lines at the moment, so there's a bit of a delay. Having to make sure that this is the correct decision if it is to be ruled out. About a minute has gone by since he rolled the ball into the back of the net, Palmer. And the decision and the lines show that he is offside. So the goal will not stand, and Chelsea's lead has been taken away from them by the VAR, and Simon Hooper just relaying that information to the crowd now and the players that the decision is no goal, and Chelsea's lead is chalked off. That's one thing that certainly will intrigue Chelsea, but also will make Newcastle a bit nervous, as the fact that how easy it was really, albeit Cole Palmer was offside, but marginally If it had held his run for a split second longer, he would have been in clean. That was a wonderful ball by Jackson. Seems to be an early problem for Newcastle. Is that gap between the midfield and the defence, and Chelsea exploiting that early doors here. Palmer to James, now Lavia has to go all the way back, but completely overhits that one and has Fofana chasing back towards his own goal. He does gather it, gets it back to Robert Sanchez. This ball's played into Jackson, dropping off again. Now finds Lavia. Out to James, who steps in field. Reece James chips it over the top, looking for the run of Nicholas Jackson, but Nick Pope committed himself there. Won the ball to clear it away for Newcastle. It's James under pressure and can only roll it out for a Newcastle throw. That's ballsy from Nick Pope, that is. Lovely ball over the top, bouncing ball in behind the Newcastle defence, and Jackson was just lurking. Nick Pope got there in time to get it away. Very confident goalkeeping that from Nick Pope. We've seen him fly out before, and on those occasions we've seen him both miss the ball and handle the ball, and all sorts of drama has ensued, but that was pretty calmly done by Nick Pope that occasion. Here's Guimaraes. Tonali. Bit of possession for Newcastle. Byrne. Now to Fabian Schär. Back to Dan Byrne. As Chelsea trying to apply the press. Schär tiptoeing back towards his own goal and almost caught out by Palmer there. Jackson tries to reach in, but Joe Linton tracking back and helps out. The Chelsea press almost bared fruits there for a second. Just seems a bit casual from Newcastle there. And I think one of the points to make from that Brighton game, not only was their high line very naive, but they're playing up in the back. I mean, look at this. Lewis Hall just gifts it back to Madueke. Here's Caicedo. Madueke again, back to Moises Caicedo. And it's just that little bit of pressure from Chelsea. It wasn't even that intense, but it was Newcastle just kind of getting themselves in a muddle, playing to play it out from the back, and I think they didn't know what to do, really, the back four, who to play it into. And it goes back to my point a bit earlier on when Chelsea are exploring that space between the midfield and the defence. It's Newcastle not being able to find their midfielders to carry themselves forward. The back four look a bit confused as to where the next pass is. Certainly not something you want to be carrying into a tough game away from home. Lavia tried to play the nice ball. Joe Linton was quick to it. And now the break down the left-hand side with Harvey Barnes. Up against Lavia. Steps onto his right. Back it comes with Bruno Guimaraes, whose deflected effort will be gathered by Robert Sanchez in the Chelsea goal. I have to say, it was a good pressure. Maybe a bit loose from Romeo Lavia. Joe Linton spotted it, anticipated it, broke it up and played Harvey Barnes down the left-hand side into a good bit of space. As Wesley Fofana's gone down here after that little moment. I think he was the one that the ball deflected off, and Bruno Guimaraes had a shot, so he might need to get a bit of treatment here, the Chelsea centre-back. So we have this stoppage. Wesley Fofana, who has been pained with injuries, of course, had that long injury halfway for the majority of last season. He's back in the team, back in the squad, helping out. Wasn't, of course, available last week after he got accumulated 5 yellow cards. His 5th yellow card came at home against Nottingham Forest a few weeks ago, just before the international break. He knew he wasn't going to be available for the Liverpool game, and now back in the starting lineup for the Premier League here this afternoon. And it looks to be a bit of an issue here with his left knee, where he has strapping on already around that left knee, so maybe just tweaking that with a little bit of pain as his captain is having a chat with him now. He's getting back to his feet here, Wesley Fofana, so it could be okay to continue. Elsewhere, it's still goalless in the other games in the capital between Crystal Palace and Tottenham and West Ham and Manchester United. It is still goalless between those two as well. We'll keep the date with Scottish games as well. 2 Scottish games on the way at 3 o'clock for you as well. So some interesting, and the championship game between Norwich and Middlesbrough is one to keep an eye on. Yeah, I just see the moment again. Bruno Guimaraes has his shot, and then Wesley Fofana kind of stretches out to kind of block it. It comes off his right leg, but I think he might have overstretched his leg and hurt himself. And that's his 6th yellow card. He's got a yellow card for an earlier challenge on Joe Linton in the build-up to that attack. So that's his 6th yellow card of the season. No doubting he's the most carded player in the league this season. 6 yellow cards. Of course, 5 yellow cards before halfway point is a 1-match ban. And then I think 10 yellow cards is a 3-match ban or a 2-match ban. I'm not too sure, but it's another match ban anyway. As Colwell comes across to block off Joe Linton. Do think that goes out for a corner. I think Colwell was asking for a foul, but the referee saw nothing wrong with it, and Newcastle will get the corner here on this right-hand side. Well, it's not certainly something that they've exceeded from. 50 corners and not a goal from them. The fewest this season for Newcastle out of any Premier League side. It's the first corner of the game. Let's see what they can do from here. Left-footed delivery, deep to the back post. And the bouncing ball brought down by Guimaraes. Not able to turn it back forward as it's back here with Livramento. Chip forward. Not great header away by Fofana, but not a great control by Barnes. And that one rolls out for a Chelsea throw in the left-hand side of the pitch. Fofana looks still in a bit of pain here at the moment. He's still up. He looks to be hobbling a slight bit, which is certainly not something you want for a centre-back or any player on the field, but certainly not one of your centre-backs to be in that position. As Colwell made the diving effort there. Palmer trying to spin it out wide to Madueke, but Hall was there to intercept and plays a lovely ball down the left for Barnes. Up against Gusto. Barnes chops onto his right. Couldn't find a pass. Well blocked off by Gusto. And now finds Palmer, who wants to bring it up the other end. Cole Palmer feeds it down the left to find Neto. Pedro Neto up against Livramento and hits it off the Newcastle right back and wins Chelsea the corner. Pedro Neto, who did make that little appearance, cameo last week at Anfield, certainly did a lot of running, didn't do very much else, but certainly bursted at players. I think he won a couple of corners. It was his most impactful play last week off the bench. And Reece James to take this corner for Chelsea. Left hand side, right footed delivery deep as Pope clears it away, and the shot from distance from Neto is blocked by Lewis Hall and out for a Chelsea throw. Again, I'm not saying both sides are kicking it in the goals department. I mean, Newcastle, as I mentioned in that build-up, one of the lowest scoring sides in the league. Only a handful of teams have scored less goals than them. To be exact, that's 3 teams. Only 3 teams in the league have scored less. Manchester United, Palace and Southampton are the 3 teams that have scored less than Newcastle this season. And they've only scored 8 goals. But, on the contrary, you have one of the best defences in the league, because there are only a handful of teams that have conceded less than them. So it's a balance. As here's Isak. Plays it through, looking for a chance. There's a player down. And Guimaraes, who cannot believe that he's not got a foul there. Colwell looks a bit guilty, but the referee said nothing was wrong there. It was Isak tried to play the ball through, and Guimaraes went tumbling into the box. I think VAR might have checked it and maybe said outside the box. I'm not too sure, but I think we'll have to see a replay. As Nick Pope was going to roll that out of play. I don't know why. I think Bruno Guimaraes is getting back to his feet. But we'll see this again. Isak battling with Fofana. Just tries to roll it through for Guimaraes. Yeah, he gets tackled there by Colwell, but it's outside the box, so there's nothing VAR can do there. Yeah, it is a foul, but the referee didn't allow it, and it was outside the box, so VAR can't do anything about it. I can see why Guimaraes is aggrieved. That if he didn't get a penalty, he surely wanted a free kick, and I think he was pretty right in that situation. But the foul outside the box, the contact outside the box, so therefore VAR can't get involved, and therefore we play on. So, some dramatic moments early in this game. 16.5 minutes gone. Still 0-0. Chelsea thought they'd scored when Cole Palmer rolled into the back of the net, but was just offside in the build-up. And then Bruno Guimaraes crying for a penalty and claiming for a penalty that was outside the box. So, some early action and drama at the Bridge. No goals to show for our 3 games so far this afternoon. Some slow burners on the cards this afternoon. Tottenham starting to make their dominance a bit more known at Sellers Park, and Manchester United starting to have a bit more of control against West Ham. As Jackson tries to make the run in behind, and that's a good challenge there by Dan Burn, I believe it was. Got it back to Nick Pope. Just gone a bit loose this game in the last few minutes. Either side really able to take control of it. Possession is almost 50-50. Practically 50-50. It's 52-48 in Newcastle's favour. As Barnes down the left. Just tries to go for the right-footed cross. It was a bobbling ball. Chelsea do get it clear because Gusto plays into Palmer. Palmer now springing it forward. Lovely ball in behind for Neto, who breaks past the defender. Neto's got Jackson in the middle. And Neto to Jackson, and Jackson into the back of the net, and Chelsea do lead. Beautifully worked from one end to the other, and Chelsea find the net, and this time it won't be ruled out. This time it was beautifully architecturally created by Cole Palmer. Beautiful ball to find Neto. Neto skips past his defender, and Jackson free as a bird in the 18-yard box. Not a Newcastle defender to be seen. And he gives Chelsea the lead. From one end to the other. And I said Newcastle's problem has been picking up those players in between the defence and midfield. Those gaps when the likes of a Jackson or even a Palmer drop a bit deeper and play that deep playmaking role. But the ball from Cole Palmer is absolutely breathtaking. It's incredible how he plays that ball. Perfect onto the left foot of Pedro Neto. He knows the challenge is coming from the defender. He just skips away, and Nicholas Jackson is there to tap home past Nick Pope. Beautifully worked by Chelsea. Chelsea 1, Newcastle United 0. Jackson, who scored at Anfield last week for his 5th Premier League goal of the season, has now scored at Stamford Bridge for his 6th Premier League goal of the season. I have to say, maybe a goal is what we needed in this game, as the ball over the top here from Joe Linton, and that shot from Almiron goes well wide. Should have done so much better there. Should Miguel Almiron. Yeah, and speak of the Cole Palmer ball, lovely ball over the top by Joe Linton. And Almiron's the one that's onside. It was Livramento that was off. Almiron was onside and should have done so much better as he arrived into the box there. Again, look at the space, look at the pass there. As Madueke was closed down. Just seems a bit too easy for Chelsea to just play out at the minute. Newcastle really not being as combative as they could be against Chelsea. In the middle anyway. Here's Lavia. To Fofana. Back to Romeo Lavia. Right down the left is Neto. James. Lavia again back to Reece James. Goes back to Colwell. And now Robert Sanchez. Well, interestingly, we'll talk about Reece James and his impact and what he can do for this Chelsea team. I mean, we talked about Chelsea and the lack of kind of leadership in the Chelsea team at times when they need that little bit of kind of motivation, extra bit of motivation from one of their kind of leaders. Has been lacking. Reece James, as the captain, certainly can offer that and deliver that. And clearly, Enzo Maresca, what a touch by Cole Palmer that is. Fabulous touch, and he certainly very cynical challenge from Fabian Schär that gets a yellow card. See that beautiful touch by Palmer. Spins his way past Schär, and there's no way Fabian Schär is going to let him embarrass him like that. And he does take down Palmer, and he gets a yellow card for his troubles, does Fabian Schär. So here's Jackson through the lines. The ball falls to Neto, who has it straight at Nick Pope. See it again. It's nice ball to Gusto. Nice 1-2 link up with Jackson, and Gusto's ball just squeezed through a couple of Newcastle players, rolled to the edge of the box, and Neto was there waiting for the ball and struck it sweetly but straight at Nick Pope in the ends. Loose pass there by Guimaraes to give the ball away. As I was saying about Reece James and his captaincy, Enzo Maresca said at midweek that he wants to see more from his captain. Maybe that's just as simple as that, or it could be the fact that he knows that leadership is needed in this young side, and he wants to see that from the man who has the armband. Here's Madueke. Chips the ball into the box. A defensive header from Schär. Just about evaded a Chelsea player as Gusto picks it back up and wants to shoot. Well charged down. Caicedo now. To Madueke. Chelsea really trying to build upon that goal that they've got. Trying to add to that now as Madueke spins it across. Out to Neto on the opposite side. Now to James. Lavia. Caicedo. Back to Romeo Lavia. I have to say that Chelsea looking much sharper. Much more in control of their play at the minute. Newcastle look a bit bewildered really as to what is going on around them. There's Lavia. Again as Newcastle try and close it down, but Chelsea look as calm as ever. So Fofana back to Sanchez, who plays it into Caicedo beautifully. Here's Palmer now. Breaking away. Look at the gaps for Cole Palmer. Chops onto his right again. Comes in field and was about to give the ball away there, but did rescue that in the end as Lavia plays it out to Madueke. Feeds it in behind for the underlapping Gusto. Gusto's ball in. Cleared away by Dan Burn. Back out with Madueke. No rest for the wicket here as Madueke with a cross. Cleared away by Schär. It's relentless pressure from Chelsea at the minute. Colwell to James. Spins it out wide to Gusto. Malo Gusto. Back across to Caicedo. Goes out wide again to Gusto with a bit of space. Gusto closed down by Hall, but gives it back to Caicedo. And now Reece James, who's come in field. Lays it out wide again to Neto. Chelsea trying to find a way through again. Neto tries to take on Livramento. He's not going to win that battle, although he does actually. Gets the ball in. Gusto misses the ball and goes straight at Nick Pope. But for a second there, it looked like Livramento had Neto covered over. He wins the running battle. It just seems Livramento gets shoved over. And the ball just about stays in. And Neto just chips it across to Malo Gusto, who couldn't really control it well. And ultimately goes back to Nick Pope. Referee getting a bit involved there. in the action. So a drop ball will be to Chelsea here. Caicedo. I have to say, I've been quite impressed with Chelsea in the way they've played this season. And the fact that no one really kind of saw them go to another level this season. No one really expected Chelsea to be as good as what they are at the minute at this early stage of the tenure under Enzo Maresca. Albeit it's been around 2.5 months, but at the same time, that's no time at all in football, really. In terms of trying to build something and create a style of play, we can see that there's clear identity, clear kind of vision in what this Chelsea team want to do and the way they want to play. That high intensity, high pressure, really relentless football. The ball over the top there. Lovely ball into Isak. Beautiful control. Isak cuts it back across, and Barnes has a shot charged down. Tonali again closed down again. Finds Livramento on the edge. Now into Almiron. Almiron's shot is straight at Robert Sanchez. Good response that from Newcastle. As Chelsea give it away cheaply again, but the ball from Newcastle is wayward. And here comes Palmer. Maybe a bit of positivity for Newcastle there all of a sudden. And it just seemed like Chelsea are getting to grips with the game and certainly wrestling control. Here's Madueke down the right-hand side. Breaking into the box, Madueke. He hits it off Lewis Hall and gets another corner for Chelsea. Keeping the ball at the right end of the pitch is Noni Madueke. Just see that Isak moment again. Again, that lovely chip ball over the top of the Chelsea defence. And Isak, beautiful control to bring it down. And then Newcastle maybe just passing around a bit too much. Ultimately, it fell down and came to nothing. That attack. And now they have a corner to defend, Newcastle. Palmer will come out to this right-hand side to take. Left-footed in, swinging ball. Popped up into the air by Pope. Not cleared away as Madueke battling. Goes down, but the referee's going to give the foul against Chelsea and give Newcastle the free kick. And it's a good corner by Palmer. Had Pope stretching. And the tussle there, winning Newcastle the free kick. Here's Dan Burn. Linton, pressured by Caicedo, wins the free kick for Newcastle. Newcastle not in a hurry to take it because there's Chelsea players in and around that area. As Lewis Hall sets the ball down. He's in his own half with his free kick as Lewis Hall. Just had a very, very high line from this free kick of Chelsea. As Hall lifts it over the top. Trying to find a teammate, but good header by Fofana to get it clear. Picked up by Almiron. Now Guimaraes. Flays it out to Tonali on the right, who tried to cross it, but well charged down by Cole Palmer. Blocking that Sandro Tonali cross there. Will go out for a Newcastle corner though. As we're about to hit the 30-minute mark at the bridge. Chelsea 1, Newcastle 0. Nicholas Jackson has the goal that is the difference. The corner whipped in for Newcastle. And the header by Isak is well over the bar. So it seemed to be a good opportunity, really. Across the front post, it was hard to try and direct that one for Alexander Isak. He was kind of just running towards the ball as it was coming back to him, and it's kind of hard to direct it the opposite direction. It goes behind for a goal kick. by Chelsea. Didn't find any of its targets there, but wasteful that from Sanchez, as Livramento will win the throw-in here for Newcastle. We'll take the throw-in, sorry. Share. Into Almiron now, Livramento. Finding Guimaraes. Back to Livramento, who's through the middle here. Beating the midfielders of Chelsea. Joelinton spins away from trouble. Livramento out on the left now. Finds Barnes, overlapping his Hall. Hall across! And the tap in from Alexander Isak. Missed the header from the corner, but a tap in. Beautifully worked by Newcastle United. And they're back on terms at Stamford Bridge. It looked as easy as you like, but that is beautifully worked football by Newcastle United from the throw-in and into the back of the Chelsea net. And I have to say, Tino Livramento is absolutely pivotal to this moment. He comes all the way from taking the throw-in in his own half to breaking out onto the left-hand side, carrying it through the Chelsea midfield, finding it out to the left, finds Barnes, who links up with the overlapping Hall, and Lewis Hall with a lovely ball across the 6-yard box for the poacher that is Alexander Isak, although VAR might have their say in this as well. It's whether Lewis Hall is offside. And Gusto might have played him on. And then they might need to have a closer look at the second phase, of which Lewis Hall plays the ball across. Is Isak ahead of the ball? I think he might be okay here. And Gusto plays Hall on in the first phase. And then I think when Hall tries to play the ball across, or does play the ball across to Isak, I think it might be Fofana who plays Isak on, I believe. Because if he's if he's behind the defenders, he can't be offside even if he's ahead of the ball. As long as he's behind a Chelsea defender, he is okay. But let's just see. Let's wait and see what VAR have to say on this one. And I think they're clear on both terms. I think this is going to stand. And I think deservedly so. Beautifully worked. I have to say, it's absolutely beautiful from Newcastle. So the lines have been drawn, and the decision is a goal. So check complete, and it is an equaliser for Newcastle United. And just as Chelsea did last week, those Newcastle fans get a second chance to celebrate. Again, and if it was ruled out, it would be so disappointing, because that was so well worked. It was a beautiful team goal from Newcastle. I have to say, the finish is unorthodox, but the best poachers make sure that no matter how they hit it, the ball ends up in the same place, and that's in the back of the net. And Alexander Isak did that, and did that well. And with about 9 minutes to go in the first half, it is Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. There's no problem for Chelsea scoring goals this season. They've scored 18, but have conceded 11 in now their first 9 games. And 9 against 9, of course, for Newcastle in terms of scored and conceded. In terms of goals, I have to be honest, Chelsea's home record is certainly not one to be enamoured. It's mostly draws at home, albeit from their opening 4 home games, 1 win, 2 draws and 1 defeat. Of course, the 1 defeat was against Manchester City. The other 2 draws came against Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. Their only home win this season, Chelsea, came against Brighton in that 4-2 victory. So home wins have been hard to come across so far this season when it comes to Chelsea. Speaking of home wins, Crystal Palace are without a win at all this season in the Premier League. I earmarked this one yesterday as one to watch, really, for a shock. And I think don't know, maybe I'm a genie in secret. Crystal Palace have taken the lead against Tottenham. We'll get there in a moment because here come Chelsea! And Moises Caicedo shot as well over the bar. Got a bit too excited there. So again, a mistake by Newcastle trying to play out. The pressure is just completely... I mean, the ball played into Joelinton. He's being pressured by the Chelsea midfield. There's no need to play that ball. And nicked away, finding Caicedo, whose shot is certainly kept a lot to be desired out of that effort. And the ball goes over the bar. As I was saying, a bit of a shocker here. Crystal Palace have taken the lead in that game at Sellers Park. It is Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Jean-Philippe Mateta has got the goal set up by Iberieza. And it is Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham 0. And Tottenham had started the better of the two teams, have had more possession, but it's Crystal Palace in the last 5-10 minutes. They've certainly started to play a bit better, and I've got that all-important goal. Albeit Crystal Palace only their 6th Premier League goal of the season, and they'll be hoping to break away from those other teams that are yet to win this season. They're one of 4 teams without a Premier League win. Let's see what they can do this afternoon. Here's Madueke for Chelsea. With gusto, as Chelsea now have to respond to that little setback. Gusto to James. Has to go backwards as he was shoved over there by Almiron. A bit too intense, that press from Miguel Almiron, and he gives away the free kick to Reece James. Yeah, Reece James just tried to track him back into his own half there, and yeah, it's a bit unnecessary, really. I mean, it was maybe there to win the ball, to be fair, but in the end, he caught Reece James and no more. Did Miguel Almiron, so definitely a foul. Here's Levi Colwill. Chip ball over the top, looking for the run of Gusto, but just evaded him, and Lewis Hall will let this one go out. Ultimately, he was going to let it go out for a throw-in, but ultimately goes out for a goal kick. Around about 6 minutes to go in the first half here at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. I would say the scoreline is pretty fair of a reflection as to the first half that we've had here, really. Chelsea have had their little spell, Newcastle have had their little spell. It's not been a half where either side can really claim that they've been the better team. Both been pretty even in terms of that, as that's a lovely pass by Palmer. Beautiful play. Here comes Noni Madueke on the right. He's got Gusto along with him. Madueke wants to go himself. Plays it into Neto. Neto with a bit of space. And has the shot blocked and fired over the bar for the corner. Again, Cole Palmer, the conductor in midfield for Chelsea. Spinning away from markers and challenges, and plays a scintillating ball out to Noni Madueke. Tries to cut across the 18 or the edge of the box himself to make an impact. Try and have a shot. Plays it out to Neto, and Neto's shot is charged down out for the corner. The corner delivered to the back post. Colwill keeps it alive. Here's Neto. Back with Caicedo, and now Gusto as Chelsea try and recycle this. Palmer looks to fizz it forward. Up in the air was Colwill, out to Pedro Neto. Neto back into the box. Away by Byrne. Not fully cleared as Palmer tried to get it back in, but Newcastle clear their lines again. Just not able to clear them convincingly, really. As here's Neto down the right again. Strides onto his left. Pedro Neto forces a good save off Nick Pope. I think it was a deflection on the way through as well. And it goes out for the corner. Really good work. Caicedo feeds it out of Neto, hugging the right touchline. He just drives in field. No one wants to engage again from Newcastle. And I think it eventually just comes off Harvey Barnes. And deflection forces Nick Pope into making that dive and save. And goes out for the corner, which James will deliver deep to the back post again. Punched away by Pope this time. Anticipated that corner well. Now to Neto on the right again. Cuts it across to Caicedo. He will deliver. Very low cross. Cleared away by Byrne. Chelsea having a good spell of pressure here on the Newcastle defenders from set pieces. Here's Neto again. Back to Caicedo, across to Gusto. Spins it out to Palmer on the left. James, back to Gusto, centrally. Tried to flay it through the centre, but well blocked off by Newcastle. And now Isak pronging an attack. Here's Barnes down the left. Bundled over, Harvey Barnes. Wanted the foul, doesn't get the foul. And now, as he tried to win the ball back, committed the foul on Romeo Lavia. Free kick to Chelsea. To say, Harvey Barnes probably has a fair argument to be a bit aggrieved. There is Jackson running behind, and some claims that he was pulled there as Pope clears it away. I think it might have been Money Madueke as well involved. Just see this again. It was Madueke that made the run actually in behind, and he was kind of tugged there by Dan Byrne. I mean, not much really. They're kind of holding each other, to be fair. It's not foul. Yeah, there's not really much, to be fair, in that, to be honest. And VAR have had a quick look. Quickly cleared that moment, so we play on. 2 minutes of the 45 to go. At the bridge, it is Chelsea 1, Newcastle United 1. Nicholas Jackson with the opening goal. And Alexander Isak with the equaliser. Both strikers involved. Nicholas Jackson with his 6th Premier League goal of the season. And Alexander Isak with only his 2nd Premier League goal of the season in his 7th start. His only other Premier League goal came out in a 2-1 win against Tottenham back in September. And there's going to be a free kick here to Newcastle. Neto is the one going to be penalised. Well, I think the referee was a bit lenient there. On Newcastle, that is. A bit harsh on Pedro Neto. Really more of a tussle than a foul, to be honest. So we'll take the free kick here. Cher just rolls it into the path of Isak, who's tracked by Lavia. Back to Cher. Lovely ball brought down by Joelinton. Tries to send Isak on the run, but well covered over. Tonali on the press as Sanchez clears away. Better from Newcastle. Here's Isak. To Almiron. Waiting for his options. Goes down the line to Livramento. Tries to flick it into the path of Isak, but well closed off by Chelsea as Neto goes down under a challenge, but will not get a foul. Only a throw in to Newcastle coming. Interesting. Does Newcastle get a throw on the opposing side, on the opposite side of the pitch now? And see how long will be added on in this first half. There have been a few VAR stoppages, which means we will have 7 added minutes. Injuries and a few VAR checks to go with it. So, a very stop-start first half. And we have 7 added minutes. So, a bit of time to go in this first half. At half-time, we'll recap yesterday's scorelines. A dramatic ending to yesterday's 3 o'clock kickoffs. We'll also have a look back at Friday night's action and yesterday evening's action at Goodison Park. as well. Plus, we'll look ahead to that 4:30 kick-off between Arsenal and Liverpool, which team news will be available in around about 30 minutes' time. So a bit of stuff to get through at half-time for you, so do stay tuned for that. They're into added time in the two other games that kicked off at 2 o'clock. It's still Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham 0, and still 0-0 at the London Stadium. As here comes Madueke, flicks it on for Gusto. Gusto with a chip ball into the box. Too high for Pope, but not too high for Livramento, who heads behind for the corner. Neto was making a nuisance of himself at the back post there. It's good work by Livramento to get in the way there, as Neto could have had an impact at the back post if he didn't get involved. The Newcastle fullback. Chelsea get their 5th corner of the game. So James will lift this in again, deep to the back post. I think it come off Fabian Schär there in the middle. It did, so another corner will come. The opposite side this time, though. It will be Cole Palmer, I think, going over to take this one. So corner number 6. Again, Palmer with delivery, left-footed, up in the air by Pope, and out for another corner. I think Nick Pope's looked a bit nervous on a couple of these. He's punched a few away, he's thrown a few over the bar. Certainly not looking the most confident from corners. Maybe Palmer and James over it again. Palmer to take, left-footed, back post, and Fofana was the threat. But Nick Pope did gather that one, and I'm certain that he had to that time. Really good delivery by Palmer, and Pope got up there and held on to it well. Under a lot of pressure. As Newcastle try and play it forward. Fofana was the one intercepting, but Jackson and Madueke got a bit muddled, and now Newcastle want to play it in behind, and Sanchez come flying out of the goal there to make sure there was no threat from Newcastle. And Chelsea kept possession, which they do. Here's Gusto. Try to feed it into Madueke. Well cut out by Lewis Hall. Here's Guimaraes. Tonali. Back to Schär. I have to say, it's been a tale of really lack of consistency from both teams in this first half. It's not been that either side have really commanded this first 45. That's a nice ball down the left here for Harvey Barnes. Up against Gusto. Holds off the fullback well. This time, though, in the second phase, tussled and thrown away was Harvey Barnes, and Malo Gusto picks it back up for Chelsea. I have to say, considering that Reece James playing at left back and Malo Gusto playing at right back, of course Gusto can play both sides, and it seems like Reece James can play both sides, but I have to say, it's not the orthodox way of going about things, I think, from Chelsea's point of view. As Isak wanted a foul there, he is going to get it. A bit belated from the referee. Waited a couple of seconds before he did give the free kick against Chelsea. Yeah. Cole will try to go for the ball. He did get to the ball, but I think he kind of scraped the inside of the boot, or the outside of the boot from Isak, and yeah, it was a genuine attempt to win the ball, and he hasn't given the free kick, actually, the referee there. It looked like he did, but blew the whistle just to stop the game to make sure Isak was okay, and just give a drop ball to Chelsea. Here comes Gusto. Now down the right comes Madueke. Breaking into the box again, cuts it back for Gusto. Out wide again to Madueke, who whips across in. Away by Schär. Only as far as Lavia. And I think the flag was up there. Yeah, the flag up against one of the Chelsea players. So free kick to Newcastle. I think it was Nicholas Jackson. That was the one that strayed offside. Half time at the London Stadium, and it's West Ham United 0, Manchester United 0. In that one, Man United had a good early spell. West Ham have really struggled to get in front of goal whatsoever in that first half. I'm sure Man United will be a bit aggrieved that they're not leading at the break, but it is still goalless in East London. Here in West London, it is at level, but a score draw at the moment between Chelsea and Newcastle. And in South London, it is Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham 0. London is the focus of all of our games here this afternoon on Sunday. And we're in all four corners of London. West London at Stamford Bridge, South London at Crystal Palace, East London at West Ham, and North London at Arsenal. A bit later on. See, you don't get that type of insight and stats on other shows. Last few seconds of the half then here, and free kick's just been given. Yeah, Gusto just stepping over and committing the foul on Harvey Barnes. So one last free kick really for this half. Still playing at Sellers Park as well, by the way, so they had a long, lengthy spell of injury time, and as they've just hit half time, so it should be about the same as us. Let's see what this comes of this Newcastle free kick then, just before half time then. Be Lewis Hall and Sandro Tonali over it for Newcastle. Hall, left-footed delivery into the box, and the header is not convincingly cleared away, but Dan Burns' header straight into the hands of Sanchez, and that is the end of the first half. A first half, as I said, where neither side really kind of dominated for a long, lengthy spell, but an even first half, and the scoreline certainly reflects that. At half-time at the Bridge, it is Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. Welcome back to Premier League Live. Half-time at Stamford Bridge. It is Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. And that is one of three games underway at 2 o'clock this afternoon. All three are at the half. Crystal Palace leading Tottenham by 1-0 at Sellers Park. Jean-Philippe Mateta's goal is the difference there. And it is goalless between West Ham and Manchester United at the break at the London Stadium. Right, so those are our games already underway this Sunday. Arsenal-Liverpool to come. We'll have team news from the Emirates in about 20 minutes' time, so do stay with us for that. But let's recap what's already happened this Premier League weekend. Leicester, again, faltered the chance to get another big result as Steve Cooper faced his former side at the King Power Stadium at the week on Friday night there. Just got a bit confused as to what happened. Ryan Yates opened the scoring for Nottingham Forest, who've been in great form this season, coming into that one away at Leicester. 3 wins, 4 draws, and just the one defeat so far this campaign. They opened the scoring through Ryan Yates, as I said. Jamie Vardy then, who's been Mr. Leicester City for how many years now, he got the equaliser for the Foxes, but it was to be not their night, as they were to be hounded in the Forest, as Chris Wood in the second half. Quite ironic that Chris Wood scores for Nottingham Forest. Anyway, iconic. Chris Wood with 2 goals in the second half, securing the 3-1 victory for Nottingham Forest away at Leicester. That was the Friday night game that got Forest up and running and into the top 6. A fantastic start to the season for Nuno Espirito Santo's side, but dramatic 3 o'clock kickoffs yesterday. 4 at 3 o'clock. We did the games live here in LFS yesterday, and I have to say, it was one of the most spellbinding finishes to games, a collection of games that I've seen in a long, long time. We'll start at Villa Park, because we'll go in alphabetical order, why not? I'll start at Villa Park, where Aston Villa were pushing and probing for over 75 minutes to get an opener. They were the better side all the way throughout the game. Ross Barkley bundled over the goal line to get Aston Villa ahead, but a 96th minute equaliser from super sub Evan Nielsen secured a point for Bournemouth on the road. It wasn't the super sub we were expecting to score. John Duran missed the target completely when he had a chance to make it 2-0 to Villa, and that was to be the turning point really. Bournemouth with a 96th minute equaliser to secure a point on the road and build upon that 2-0 win against Arsenal last weekend. Another 2 points drop for Villa. Maybe a bit disappointed because they were certainly the better side, but they didn't hang on right to the very death. Speaking of to the very death, Ipswich couldn't hang on. It was an absolute thriller at the GTEC Community Stadium. 7 goals between Brentford and Ipswich yesterday. An absolute cracker of a game. Ipswich blasted into a 2-goal lead. Sammy Schmoddix and George Hurst with the goals inside 30 minutes to give Ipswich the 2-goal lead. They are also without a win this season in the Premier League. Johan Visa got one back just 2 minutes before time, before Harry Clark, who scored an own goal, of course, to get Brentford back on terms. There was a few VAR checks in the game, and ultimately it was given, and 2-2 it was at the break. A remarkable comeback for Brentford in that first half. Then, in the second half, it only went from bad to worse for Harry Clark in that game, the Ipswich defender, who gave away a penalty to Brian, who brought down Keane Lewis-Potter. Brian Mbeumo converted from the spot to give Brentford the lead for the first time yesterday afternoon, 3-2. And just 10-15 minutes later, well, you thought it couldn't get any worse for Harry Clark, scoring an own goal, giving away a penalty. Well, it did get worse, because he got a second yellow card and was sent off for Ipswich, so 3 in 3 for him. Everything comes in threes, in a sense. An own goal, a penalty, and, of course, a red card. It wasn't to be Harry Clark's day. But when it seemed improbable, down to 10, Ipswich got an equaliser late in the game in the 86th minute. Liam Delap could have been their saviour at 3-3, but it was to be Brian Mbeumo that had the last laugh in the 96th minute, making sure it wasn't to be drop points for Brentford, and it was to be 3 for them, and to remain unbeaten at home this season. Brentford 4-3, the final score. Their 4th win in 5 home games. It is a fortress at the GTEC, it seems to be this season. Not quite a fortress for Brighton, though. Brighton, again, similar to Aston Villa, with a better side the whole way through that game against Wolves. Danny Welbeck gave them a lead in the first half. Certainly deserved it anyway, with the chances they'd created in that first half and the saves that Jose Sa was making in that first for Wolves. They went 1-0 up, and as Wolves were pushing for a late equaliser, it was Evan Ferguson that added a second to Brighton's score to make it 2-0. Only a matter of seconds later, it was Ryan Aït-Nouri that got one back for Wolves, before it was to be in the 93rd minute. Wolves were to rescue a point. Matheus Cunha with the equaliser to get only Wolves' 2nd point of the season. They had only drawn 1 of their previous 8 games, lost the other 7, and that was only to be their 2nd point accumulated this campaign. And the most improbable of moments, 2-0 down with a matter of minutes to go, and they drew 2-2. To be a bit calmer at the Etihad yesterday and the other 3 o'clock game. City dominated the game. Erling Haaland ended his 3-game goal drought in the Premier League, scoring inside 5 minutes, set up by Matheus Nunes. Pep Guardiola said after the game that he credited the way Southampton set up against Manchester City. Kind of a similar way, really. But they sat deep, tried to compact and defend City, and they did so very well. But they lacked the attacking intent up the other end of the field and really couldn't threaten City for a late equaliser. And it was to be only City's their first home clean sheet of the season, only their second clean sheet of the season. The only other clean sheet that City had held this campaign was on Matchday 1 away at Chelsea. And yesterday evening, the game and the day was concluded when Everton had a late equaliser of their own. It wasn't really an enamouring game, to be honest. Fulham and Everton really lacking quality or clarity or real kind of control in the game. It was quite dismal, really, to be honest. Alex Iwobi, the former Everton man, it was written in the stars, really, that he was going to get the goal for Fulham yesterday after 61 minutes, giving the Cottagers the lead. But it was to be Beto, another super sub of unknown proportions, in the 94th minute, who had a shot saved a few minutes earlier. But it was to be in the 94th minute that Everton were to rescue their unbeaten run. Who'd have thought that Everton would be on an unbeaten run in the Premier League? And they are indeed their longest unbeaten run under Sean Dyche in 5 games unbeaten. Now 3 draws, 2 wins in their last 5, albeit 3 of those teams are winless this season. So I would argue that it's the level of opposition, but if you can't beat those around you, who can you beat? And that's kind of the point for Everton, a 1-1 draw. For Sean Dyche's side, but still a lot of work to do if they're going to evade any sort of being pulled into that bottom section of the table. So far. And those are the scores ready from this afternoon. Let's have a quick look at the Premier League table then for you. So this will be the as it stands table, so with Chelsea and Newcastle drawing and Crystal Palace winning, and the others also drawing and losing. It will be the as it stands table. So this is how it looks at the moment at half time, with Chelsea and Newcastle drawing 1-1, Palace winning 1-0, and West Ham and Man United drawing at the moment. So this is how the table stands then. Manchester City top the table. Still the only unbeaten side in the league this season. 7 wins, 2 draws from their first 9 games for Manchester City. 23 points from the first 27 available. Liverpool in second. They are yet to play this weekend. Of course, they play a bit later on. They're on 21 points. They can go back to the top of the table, Liverpool, if they beat Arsenal a bit later on. Aston Villa are up into third after their draw yesterday, but it could have been even better for them. They could have been 3 points off the top of the table if they'd have held on against Bournemouth, but it's 18 points from their first 9 games. Arsenal, of course, yet to play. They're on 17 points. So even if they win this afternoon, Arsenal, the highest they can finish this weekend is third. Brighton in fifth, which is a remarkable start to the season for them, and Nottingham Forest are both on 16 points after 9 games. An incredible start to the season for those two. Chelsea, as it stands, in 7th, but they can burst up the table. They can go above Arsenal for momentarily. If they beat Newcastle this afternoon, they will go above them on goal difference, if that's to be the case. Tottenham currently losing. They're on 13 points. Brentford, with their win yesterday, they're on 13. And Newcastle, currently drawing, are also on 13. Newcastle, who can go above Chelsea if they can win this afternoon. Into the bottom half, Fulham's draw away at Everton sees them drop into the bottom half. They're in 11th on 12 points, along with Bournemouth, who are also on 12 points after 9 games, in 12th. And then Manchester United currently drawing away at West Ham. They're on 12. They can get into the top half with a win. Leicester on 9. West Ham also on 9, drawing at the moment. Everton on 9. And then Crystal Palace, who are currently winning, jump up to 6 points in the table. They would go above Ipswich, and Ipswich would drop into the bottom 3. And Ipswich, Wolves and Southampton currently in that bottom 3 as it stands. Right, so that's how the table looks. That's how this weekend's results have gone. Arsenal-Liverpool still to come a bit later on this afternoon. We'll get team news for you in about 10 minutes time, because we have to rush ahead, because the second half's going to get underway at Stamford Bridge in a moment or two's time. Do stay with us. welcome back to Premier League Live this Sunday afternoon for our 2 o'clock kickoffs. It is Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1 at the break. And don't forget, we have a bumper night of action on Wednesday night as the Carabao Cup continues. Of course, there's some games on Tuesday night, but our big night of action is on Wednesday night as we watch Tottenham take on Manchester City. That is an 8:15 kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but there's some earlier games that we'll be watching as well on Wednesday night, including Brighton's welcoming of Liverpool, Aston Villa Crystal Palace, Manchester United Leicester, Chelsea and Newcastle meeting again for the second time in a matter of days, and Preston hosting Arsenal also on Wednesday night. Lots of action from the Carabao Cup, plus the quarter-final draw will follow the game between Tottenham and Manchester City on Wednesday night. Looking forward to that one. Right, following us this afternoon, you can tune on in. Arsenal against Liverpool, 4:30 kickoff, and a big one. Two of last season's top three facing off once again, and Liverpool can reclaim top spot if they win. Arsenal can jump up to third with a win and look to close the gap to both Man City and Liverpool above them. Right, the second half between Chelsea and Newcastle is on the way because they were checking for a possible challenge by Colwell a bit earlier on. They're just having a replay of that on the screen. I don't know what that's all about, and it was cleared off. It was cleared. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That'd be greatly appreciated. We thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us this afternoon for this one at the bridge, as we're ready to get underway for the second half. They're underway in the two other games this afternoon, just underway at Sellers Park, and they're underway a couple of minutes ago at the London Stadium. So lots of action, hopefully. Just 3 goals in the first half, just the 1 goal from our 2 other games. 2 goals here, of course. Also, by the way, as I said, we'll keep you up to date with action elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership. 2 games underway now, including Celtic and Rangers. Rangers hosting St Mirren, Motherwell hosting Celtic, so that's underway, and also Norwich against Middlesbrough in the Championship. We'll keep you up to date with those in this second half as well. As we're back underway at the bridge, Chelsea striking from right to left, left to right in this half, and Newcastle attacking from right to left. So, obviously a switch in sides, maybe a switch in fortunes for either of these two teams to see whether they can convert a draw into a win in this second half. As I said, a win hasn't been the most common result for Chelsea at home this season in the league, and neither is a win away from home being a common result for Newcastle either. They've won just 1 of their 4 away games this season, so both sides more accustomed to a draw in their respective home and away games. 2 apiece. As Isak tried to roll in behind, well closed off by Fofana that time. I have to say, the scoreline does certainly reflect the first half, where they both had their good spells, the 2 teams, but they both, of course, had their little non-spells in a sense, where they weren't the best teams. As Newcastle give it away here to Palmer. Here's Cole Palmer striding into the box. Cole Palmer, no doubt where the ball's gonna go when Cole Palmer strides on, and he gives Chelsea the lead inside 90 seconds of the second half getting underway. Cole Palmer had a goal ruled out in the first half, but this one will certainly not be ruled out. Again, far too easy from Newcastle's point of view, giving the ball away in between the defence and midfield. Again, really poor. Just nipped away. I think it was Caicedo or maybe Lavia, one of the 2. It just nips it away from the Newcastle midfield, and Palmer is just waiting. It's Lavia that just takes it away from Newcastle. Palmer striding forward, lots of space, no one willing to engage. I think Pope should do a bit better, really. But Palmer, when he hits a strike, more often than not, you know where it's going, and into the back of the net it does go. And Chelsea lead once again. Chelsea 2, Newcastle United 1. And Cole Palmer, the scorer this time. Well, Cole Palmer, that's his 7th Premier League goal of the season. Him and Nicholas Jackson certainly competing for club top scorer. It's been rare that Chelsea have had many's a goal scorer above that level. And coming into this one, they have 2 of the top 5 scorers in the league to Chelsea, so certainly able to find the net. And here they come again. Here's Madueke. Steps away from his marker. Caicedo wanted to take the shot, but maybe held it a bit too long as Tonali closes down and sends Newcastle up the other way with Isak. Tries to keep it in play. Does keep it in play. But the free kick is going to be given against Newcastle here as Levi Colwill goes down. Was going to be a Newcastle throw, but foul came just before the ball had gone out of play, so therefore the referee's given a free kick to Chelsea here. Yeah, he kind of grapples him round his throat there. It's accidental, it's not malicious in any way. He's just trying to hold off Levi Colwill is Isak, but it is a foul, no question. And it's a pretty expected and fair result, fair decision by the referee. We thought we'd had another goal at Sellers Park. Remember I told you about this shock of a game? Well, Crystal Palace leading 1-0. They thought it was 2-0 for a second or two when the ball went into the back of the net. It's now been ruled out. It's not a goal for Crystal Palace, so it is still 1-0. But Spurs looking a bit lacklustre this afternoon. Let's see what they can do. Here come Chelsea again with Caicedo. Madueke spins past Hall, left on the floor. Madueke with a cross, the header off the post from Neto. Goodness me. Palmer keeps it alive, spins it back into the middle. Brought down by Gusto, but the foul has gone against Chelsea. I think Nick Pope went down. Or sorry, not Nick Pope, sorry. Dan Burn. Good cross by Madueke, and the header by Neto. High it doesn't go in. Goodness me. Free header. And it's just curling away from goal and comes cascading off the left post. Close as you like there from Chelsea. Having a bit of headroom in this game. But Newcastle flapping in this early second half moments. Really crumbling. Chelsea have come out with an intent, an intensity, a vision of what they need and want to do. And they're one step closer to fulfilling that prophecy. As Palmer goes down under a challenge. Well, Chelsea scored in the 3rd minute of the second half last week at Anfield to level the game. They scored in the 2nd minute of second half this week to take the lead of the game. So something opponents need to be wary of when it comes to Chelsea is being very strong defensively when the second half gets underway. Sanchez under a bit of pressure there at the back. There's nowhere to go but put the ball out of play for a Newcastle throw. Well, to be honest, really, I think if I was to assess Chelsea at this point, I think they're a good European side. I'll hold that thought, actually, because here comes Nicholas Jackson on the break. Jackson rolls it to Madueke in the box. Madueke with his left. Again, another team effort by Noni Madueke. Straight at Nick Pope. No real concern, really, on that occasion. As I was saying, if I was going to assess Chelsea right now, after, 8.5 games, I would say that they are a good European side. They're a good side that should be competing for top 4. You know, why not? They're certainly, I would say, better quality than the likes of Brighton or Forest or Tottenham. Maybe even Manchester United as well to go on with that course, who are expecting to be top 4 battlers this season as well. I think Chelsea are the kind of team that could be the difference this season. I think it could be a Chelsea-Aston Villa battle for top 4. Tottenham might get their grips together. They might add themselves to the conversation. Man United really need to up their level if they're going to be involved. So it could be a big battle for top 4 this season, but I think Chelsea could have realistic kind of hopes for that. We'll see how they come through the Christmas period, and that's always a big test for a team, and how they deal with it. As here's Malo Gusto, whose shot is well over the bar. No threat really to Pope there. We'll see how they come through the Christmas period, because that's the real test for any Premier League side, as to how kind of capable you are trying to achieve your kind of goals in a season. Are you able to kind of slog it out with 2 games a week consistently at a high intensity Christmas period, when you will play some tough sides? You know, that's the real big test for a team, and I think Chelsea, amongst others, will have to prove that this season. So far this afternoon, they're starting to prove how good they are in this second half, as Neto tried to break down the left. Well challenged that time by Livramento. He had to get back in and cover over the Chelsea winger, as there's foul against Chelsea there on that side. Free kick to Newcastle. At the moment, with Chelsea winning, they would occupy 4th in the league before Arsenal and Liverpool play a bit later on. We'll have team news for you in a matter of moments from the Emirates, so don't worry about that. Now, Romeo Lavia has just delayed the restart of the game here, so he's going to get a yellow card. Just wasting a bit of time. So the Chelsea midfielder gets his first yellow card of the season. Just seems like Chelsea have a bit more of a grip on the game in this second half. Newcastle really haven't been able to settle, and that's certainly working in the home side's favour at the moment. Most certainly, as we're just getting clips of the players entering the Emirates for that 4:30 kickoff. We can bring you team news from that one while the Chelsea just have it in possession. David Araya starts in goal for Arsenal. An interesting defensive setup for for Arsenal. Thomas Partey's in the defence alongside Ben White, Gabriel and Urian Timber, who has made it. Saka's also made it. He's alongside Mikel Merino, Declan Rice and Gabriel Martinelli in a kind of 4, with Kai Havertz and Leandro Trossard up front for Arsenal. For Liverpool, Kelleher continues in goal. Alexander-Arnold, Konate, Van Dijk and Robertson, an unchanged defence, with Van Dijk of course the captain. Gravenberch, Jones and McAllister in midfield there, so no Szoboszlai for Liverpool starting this afternoon. Diaz off the left, Salah off the right and Darwin Núñez through the middle. Szoboszlai and Gakpo both drop to the bench. So that is coming up at 4:30. So here comes Noni Madueke for Chelsea. Rolls it into the path of Malo Gusto, but run out of room there really. Goal kick to Newcastle. Newcastle trying to pounce upon a loose ball there by Chelsea, but well closed down by Colwill. Here's Caicedo. Nicely taken into Madueke. He's really struggled to find a way forward. He's got into good areas today, Madueke. He's closed down well there by Joe Linton, but he's just not had that cutting edge in the final moment. That little shots that he's had have not been really threatening towards Nick Pope at all, really, this afternoon. Noni Madueke. As Neto getting back to head the ball. Ultimately not able to keep possession for Chelsea, as here's Barnes alongside Gusto. That's nice work between Isak and Barnes. Barnes through to Isak here. Alexander Isak with a chip ball across, and it's well headed away by Chelsea. I think it was Reece James at the back post. It was still alive. Here's Isak trying to break into the box, well closed out by Gusto, and Chelsea get the free kick. Well, again, Newcastle all of a sudden out of nowhere really exploited Chelsea. Isak and Barnes just isolating Malo Gusto. And then the link up to find Isak in behind again, getting to the byline. And kind of chips it across. It goes over the head of Sanchez, and it's Reece James, it is, that heads it off the line. Gets it away. Danger. Certainly keeps Chelsea ahead. Here's Lavia. To Caicedo. To Palmer. I think Chelsea are pretty comfortable at the moment, albeit that little moment from Newcastle a few seconds ago. But other than that, it's been all Chelsea the second half, really. And you'd have to say 2-1 lead is fair on the balance of things. Here's Palmer. Into Lavia. Switches it out to Madueke. Now Caicedo across to Lavia again. Out to the left-hand side now for Neto. Up against Livramento. Pedro Neto, left-footed delivery into the box, and Gusto's header is over the bar. Goal kick, but better from Chelsea. Again, their combinations, their link-ups in the final third, certainly hitting the right areas and the right spaces, but again, just missing out on that final touch, and that would have been 3-1. Gusto's header goes over the bar and keeps it at 2-1 for the moment. And these two have certainly had feisty meetings previously. They had 3 meetings last season. Of course, 2 in the Premier League and then 1 in the Cup, of course. Chelsea winning 2 of those games. Newcastle won the home game against Chelsea in the Premier League last season, 4-1. But Chelsea won 3-2 here at the Bridge back in March in the Premier League. Nicholas Jackson, Cole Palmer and Mykhailo Mudryk were the 3 scorers for Chelsea that day. Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson are the 2 scorers again. It actually was almost identical to where we are at the minute. Jackson opened the scoring for Chelsea. Isak equalised for Newcastle, and Palmer got the second for Chelsea to make it 2-1 in the second half. It's almost identical. It is identical to how this game's gone this afternoon. What happened after that game in March, Mudryk scored the third, and then Jacob Murphy got a late consolation for Newcastle, which ultimately came to nothing in the end because Chelsea won 3-2. So, really, a bit of deja vu maybe here at the Bridge. The last time Newcastle won here in any competition was a long time ago. It was back in the League Cup back in 2010 when they won 4-3 here, Newcastle. The last Premier League victory. That was their last Cup victory. Their last victory overall was a Premier League victory back in May 2012 when they won 2-0 here, did Newcastle. But Chelsea have won all but 1 game since then at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League, and that was in a 1-1 draw back in May 2023. Chelsea had won all of their games since and kept clean sheets more often than not on those occasions against Newcastle. Here's Neto down the left here for Chelsea, just gone past 60 minutes. Can't find a way forward, has to cut it back to Palmer. But a composure from Chelsea at the minute in their play. They know they're ahead, they have control of the game. Elsewhere, it's still the same in their other games across the capital. Sellers Park, still 1-0 to Crystal Palace against Spurs. And West Ham and Man United still locked at 0-0. It's been a bit more even in the second half between those two. West Ham certainly being a bit more competitive, but still goalless. There's Reece James with the chip ball. Trying to find Gusto, but Nick Pope was there to gather. Gather well. In the Championship, there's Norwich 1, Middlesbrough 1. In that one, Boyes Sainz for the opener and Tommy Conway equalising for Middlesbrough. In the Scottish Premiership, still goalless between Motherwell and Celtic. Celtic certainly pushing and probing for the opener, but not found it just yet in that one. But Motherwell certainly a competitive force, and it is 1-1 between Rangers and St Mirren. Mohamed Diomande opened the scoring for Rangers, but Alexander Gogic has equalised for St Mirren. Still in the first half of those games, by the way. Elsewhere, as we've less than 30 minutes to go at the Bridge, narrow 2-1 lead for Chelsea. It was the same scoreline that they trailed by at this point last weekend. And Liverpool hung on to win the game as Chelsea dispossessed in the middle there. And now here comes Guimaraes on the run. Out to Barnes on the left-hand side. Harvey Barnes chops onto his right. Harvey Barnes still going, just overrun it really, and trails Fofana to the ground and gives away a free kick to Chelsea. And he's really frustrated there, Harvey Barnes. It's a good moment, a good play. They win the ball in the middle, Newcastle. Guimaraes plays it nicely out to Barnes. Joelinton makes the run beyond and allows Barnes a bit of space to open the shot. He just delays it far too long, does Harvey Barnes, in taking the shot, and ultimately giving away a free kick the opposite direction, really. And I think there's another yellow card come out here for another delaying of the restart. So a yellow card was given out a bit earlier on for that to Romeo Lavia. If I'm not mistaken, there's been another yellow card for that situation. I'll confirm that for you in a moment when we do have a bit more information as Newcastle get a throw. And the information that I do have is that Sandro Tonali is going to get a yellow card for delaying the restart, because Levi Colwill takes the free kick and Tonali's within like 2 yards of him, blocking the chance to take the free kick, so he gets a yellow card. No real arguments with that one, to be honest. Well, changes are afoot here at the Bridge. Just the one for Chelsea. A triple substitution coming for Newcastle. So, changes incoming very shortly. As that ball by James is given away to Isak, who finds Almiron and now spins it out to the left for Joelinton. Barnes is in the middle. Joelinton. And the free kick's going to be given here off the ball for a foul on Lewis Hall, who was tugged down. And a yellow card has also come out here to Noni Madueke for committing that challenge. So it was Joelinton that broke down the left, and Madueke and Hall tussling off the ball. It is a foul. Yeah, off the ball foul there by Noni Madueke, and he gets a yellow card, and Newcastle get a free kick in a good area, by the way. First yellow card of the season for Noni Madueke. And a free kick around about, I'd say about 23, 24 yards out here for Newcastle. Bit to the left of the box. So a bit left of goal. So certainly benefit a right footer more than a left footer, of course. Tonali, Hall, Isak and Cher all over this one. It's anybody's guess who's going to take this. As Robert Sanchez is setting up his defensive wall. And set pieces certainly aren't Newcastle's forte. And they certainly have good set piece takers in the side, so you never know. Let's see what they can do from this one. Isak, Cher and Hall over it. Ready to take. Who's going to take it? For Newcastle, anybody's guess. It's Fabian Cher, whose shot is just over the bar. Good curling effort. Tried to find the top corner. It just went a sneaking little bit over the bar. Yeah, I think Sanchez might have it covered if it did dip at the last second there. Anyway, so goal kick for Chelsea, and now this will trigger the substitution. So Michailo Mudryk, who got the third goal against Newcastle here last season, he's coming on for Noni Madueke. And then for Newcastle, as I said, they will make a triple substitution. It will be Joe Willock, Jacob Murphy and Sean Longstaff are going to be coming on here for Newcastle. One of those coming off is going to be Harvey Barnes. The other is going to be Miguel Almiron. And the third coming off is going to be, drum roll please, it is going to be, I think, Sandro Tonali. So, to recap that all for you, Tonali, Barnes and Almiron all off, and Murphy, Longstaff and Willock all on for Newcastle, and Noni Madueke has come off for Chelsea, and he's been replaced by Mykhailo Mudryk. Two of those substitutions that have come on scored the third goal for Chelsea and the second goal for Newcastle last season. Murphy scored Newcastle's second goal, and Mudryk scored Chelsea's third goal. A continuation maybe of that kind of deja vu that we were experiencing with the situation so far in this game. A bit of extra pace maybe for Chelsea up front, because Neto has just gone to right wing and Mudryk will occupy the left wing for Chelsea, so swapping in sides there. Here's Fabian Schär. Cross to Byrne, now to Hall. Hall knocking it forward into an area really for Joe Linton to chase, but Fofana, calm and composed, covers it over and gives it back to his captain, James. Now to Sanchez. Tries to go down the line, nicely intercepted by Lewis Hall, that. Diving to win the ball back. Isak, now to Willock. Back to Alexander Isak, who's dropped off the centre forward position a bit deeper. Isak trying to throw it in behind, but the ball to Willock is just a bit overhit. Sanchez can come and collect really for Chelsea. When we talk about the second half, I said Chelsea have been the better side, and they have, really, to be fair. I think those triple substitution for Newcastle is just to give them a bit more something in the final third, really. That little bit of pizzazz that they've lacked in this second half. They've really struggled to get forward. I mean, that little moment from Alexander Isak around about 10-15 minutes ago was their only real moment in the half, and that wasn't even a shot on target, so it wasn't really a massive threatening moment. But I think Newcastle have hung on in there, kept it at 2-1, it's still a kind of anybody's game really in the latter stages, and you never know. It's Joe Linton, plays it in behind for Willock. Willock with a ball across, and the header from Isak is blocked and cleared away as Mudryk linking up with Palmer. It was Palmer does get the goal kick. Tried to clear it away and ended up going behind for a goal kick. Goodness. Good play by Newcastle there. Nice ball into Isak. Feeds it out to Joe Linton. Willock is just onside as he receives the ball. And then he chips it into the box. And Isak's header charged down at kind of instant length. Instant reactions from Reece James to block it and then get it cleared away. Goodness me. Good moment there for Newcastle. And exactly the point that I'm making is that there's more than enough time and the scoreline's still that close that Newcastle can still conjure up something in this game. Chelsea have failed to kill them off just yet. 20 minutes to go. Still a long way to go. Here's Joe Linton into Guimaraes. He tried to thread it through the lines, but well closed out by the Chelsea defence, but the ball won back by Hall. Now to Joe Linton. Across to Guimaraes. Who look to spin it out to Murphy, who tries to head it across to rescue that moment, but it goes out of play. Goal kick. Well, there's been a home team leading in West London. There's a home team leading in South London. You know what's coming next. There's a home team leading in East London. West Ham United have taken the lead at the London Stadium against Manchester United. It is Crysencio Somerville, set up by Danny Ings to give West Ham the lead. He's got a booking as well, Somerville. I'm guessing he took his shirt off, because why else would he be booked? Or he's run into the crowd, one of the two. Got a yellow card, and he has got West Ham the lead. And with 15 minutes to go, another rescue job needed for Manchester United on the road. West Ham 1, Manchester United 0. Well, Oh, interesting. Intriguing, that. Some shocks on the cards, maybe, in this early Sunday afternoon. Celtic have taken the lead against Motherwell. Luke McKeon with that goal. They thought they'd actually made it 2 Celtic a moment or two ago. Dyson Maida, but that goal disallowed by VAR. Right. Here's Lewis Hall. Newcastle probably their best spell of the second half here, really, in the last few minutes since those substitutions. Gianfranco Zola watches on. I think there's a guy and a little child in a tuxedo as well watching in the crowd. Certainly having a little dance. Honestly, you never know what you're going to see. Here's Malo Gusto. Well closed off by Guimaraes, who battled well. And now Newcastle want to spring an attack. Joe Linton out to Willock on the left. Joe Willock arriving into the box. Spins it round the corner, but couldn't find a teammate as that's well closed out by Caldwell. And Chelsea win the throw-in down the right-hand side with Gusto. Chelsea need to regain a bit of control in this game. It's gone a bit even again. I did make the point. Chelsea had been one substitution. They made a second there a moment or two ago. Enzo Fernandez has just come on to replace Romeo Lavia in midfield. So some fresh legs in midfield for Chelsea. Try and help them along the line. And Enzo Maresca bringing on Enzo Fernandez. Here's Fofana. Back to Sanchez. Tries to feed it out to the left. That's really bad by Robert Sanchez. Overhits it completely. Do you know what gets on my nerves? And I don't want to call out a goalkeeper, but let's be real. Robert Sanchez there has just kicked the ball out of play and then shouts at his own players. I don't get that. I really don't understand that at all. I mean, that's just unforced. There was no pressure on Sanchez whatsoever. No foul against Chelsea here. Isak's around the goalkeeper. He's still going. Cannot find a finish. What's he doing? Alexander Isak, the goal gaping in front of him. And he decides not to shoot. The ball over the top. Chelsea wanted a foul on one of the defenders. I've no idea who it is. It might be Fofana. He bundles over. Isak has just rolled it round the goalkeeper from a tight angle. Yeah, there's no foul there. Isak gets into the box, rolls it round Sanchez, and then decides not to try and take a shot from anywhere. His options as well. That was such a good moment. They get the corner though, Newcastle. Left-footed delivery. And the header flicked on, but goes behind for a goal kick. From Fabian Schär. I'm in disbelief as to why Alexander Isak, even if he had the shot blocked, you never know what can happen in that narrow kind of area. Just have the shot. I'm bemused, befuddled, bewildered. Use whatever word you want to use, but just expresses how baffling this has been. I'm just saying it again. I mean, it's certainly not a foul on Fofana. No doubt about that. Usually when you see a defender going to ground, you think, oh, the referee's going to call for a foul. But he doesn't, the referee. And Isak should have probably made it 2-2, but still 2-1 to Chelsea. Maybe a bit of a off-the-hook moment for the home team. Palmer couldn't keep the ball on that occasion. Guimaraes. The ball comes into Willock. Now out to Joe Linton. Hounded by Gusto. And again, Newcastle struggling to keep the ball, though they do get it back this time. Here's Longstaff. Terrible ball. Well closed out by James, as Longstaff does really well to win it back again. Now, Murphy tips it into the box. Chelsea get it away, and the foul's going to be given against Newcastle there. Malo Gusto on the floor. So a free kick to Chelsea. So Chelsea going to make 2 more substitutions in a moment here, by the way. Christopher Nkunku and Marco Correa are going to be entering the fray, and I think Gusto's day is going to be done, as Cucurella is going to be his replacement. A couple of goals to tell you around the grounds. I'll get to those in a moment. So Gusto is going to leave the fields, and Mark Cucurella is going to come on in his place. So I think Cucurella will go to left back, Reece James will go to right back, and then Christopher Nkunku is also coming on for Chelsea, and he will be replacing Reece James. Getting a bit of information. I thought Reece James was coming off there. He's not. Nicholas Jackson is going to be the one coming off here. So Nkunku on for Jackson, and Cucurella on for Gusto. So that's another double substitution for Chelsea, just to try and see this one out. We've had another goal, by the way, at the London Stadium. I said it needed to be a bit of a rescue job for Manchester United. Well, they've responded well to going behind, because they're not behind any longer. It is 1-1 at the London Stadium. Casemiro with the equaliser, set up by Joshua Zirkzee. Probably should be the other way about, but it doesn't matter who finds the net for Manchester United. Casemiro gets the equaliser. It is 1-1 at the London Stadium. It's only Man United's 8th goal this season in the Premier League. 1-1. Still 1-0 to Crystal Palace, by the way, at Sellers Park. It's about 10 minutes to go there. Those other two games are slightly ahead of us in terms of game clock left. We are around about, as I've mentioned, about 11 minutes to go. Here at the Bridge is Neto. Still on this right-hand side. Pedro Neto looking to break down the right flank. Has to turn back, plays it into Caicedo. The next goal is crucial. The third goal for Chelsea would surely dead the game, really, and wrap it up. But another goal from the other side would certainly burst us into life, for maybe a late winner on the cards. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Here's Neto to James, who, as I said, did go back to right. It did go to right back when Cucurella came on. It's Neto's ball forward, blocked by Byrne. Cleared away back to Reece James, though. Chelsea trying to have a bit of control now. Newcastle had their good spell for the last 10-15 minutes, really. It's been the good spell from Newcastle. And with around 10 minutes to go, it's Chelsea that want control of the ball again, with Fernandes. Gives it away, trying to find Palmer. Nice 1-2 link up between Murphy and Livramento. As Tino Livramento back against Cucurella. Does well to lay it off to Murphy. Now Guimaraes into Willock. This is better from Newcastle. Willock to Joelinton. Out wide it goes to Hall. So they're around about the final third now. Willock. Not in a massive hurry, or Newcastle really. Here's Lewis Hall. Cross to Guimaraes in the middle. Looking for options. Plays it out to Murphy. Livramento on the overlap. Does take that option here is Livramento. Back to Murphy again. Tried to flood it forward, but Longstaff couldn't reach it. Although Guimaraes will pick up the loose ball. Will just about keep Newcastle in possession. Livramento. Murphy. That's the deflected ball. Goes into Chelsea's favour. And now here comes Nkunku trying to break away. Palmer alongside him. Mudryk as well. Palmer back to Nkunku. Into the box. Back to Palmer. Palmer across to Mikhailo Mudryk. Good save by Nick Pope to deny the Ukrainian what would have been a third goal for Chelsea and would have really settled this game. Joelinton now. Out to Willock. This came from Newcastle being a bit sloppy in possession, really, that allowed Chelsea to break away. Newcastle back in possession now. So as it was yesterday, in our 3 o'clock games, in our 2 o'clock games this afternoon, in the 3 games, they're all still very much in the balance, really, with the latter stages to come. Longstaff does well to hold off his marker. And Guimaraes taken to the ground. And I think the free kick is going to go the way of Newcastle here. Some updates to tell you. Middlesbrough have taken the lead away at Norwich. Tommy Conway with both Middlesbrough goals. They lead by 2-1. Still 1-0 to Celtic away at Motherwell. And still 1-1 between Rangers and St Mirren. So free kick to Newcastle around about the centre circle. And it will be Hall that will take. Lewis Hall, left-footed. Pumped up. But again, no real threat there because Chelsea get the free kick. Reece James going to ground under a challenge from Dan Burn. Free kick to Chelsea. Well, don't forget, next to come here on LFS, midweek action. The Carabao Cup. 4th round gets underway this midweek. And on Wednesday night, we have a bumper night of action for you, including some of the biggest Premier League sides. The current holders, Liverpool, in action as well, away at Brighton. Tottenham, Manchester City, and Chelsea and Newcastle will face off again, as they did in the quarter-finals last year. They will face each other once again at St James's Park for a place in the quarter-finals. That's on Wednesday night. So between those two, so whoever doesn't end up with the right result this afternoon will certainly be looking for revenge on Wednesday night in the Cup. We'll see. Of course, both the recent runners-up in the Cup, in the Carabao Cup that is, Chelsea lost to Liverpool in the most recent final back in February, and the year before that Newcastle lost to Manchester United in the final. Guimaraes, Hall, nice ball into Longstaff. Now Murphy, gonna spin it round the corner. It's just about kept in by Livramento. It's a good adjustment. Isak. Now Longstaff. Spinning the ball out to the left-hand side, trying to find Joelinton, but a good bit of defending by Reece James to get in front of Joelinton and put it out for the throw. Here is Joelinton again. Out to Lewis Hall on the overlap. Not a great ball by Lewis Hall. Chelsea will get the free kick here for a foul on Wesley Fofana. Five minutes to go in this game. Chelsea 2, Newcastle United 1. As I said, this win, as it stands, would take Chelsea into the top 4 at least until later on, depending on what happens between Liverpool and Arsenal. They would stay in the top 4 if Arsenal fall to defeat to Liverpool. Anything other than that would see Arsenal jump up the table and knock Chelsea out of the top 4 for the moment, as here comes Neto. Not really much room to make much of an attack out of that. Now for Newcastle, a defeat would see them sit in 12th. They would be in the same boat as the likes of Fulham, Bournemouth, and currently it would be the same boat as Manchester United, who would all have 3 draws, 3 wins, 3 defeats from the first 9 games. As mid-table as you can get, really. There's still time to go for that to be changed. Livramento. Guimaraes skipping away from the challenge of Enzo Fernandez. Here's Hall. Feeds it into Isak. Round the corner it goes, but far too much pace on that one for anybody in Newcastle College to chase. Goal kick to Chelsea. Have to say they're there or thereabouts, the visitors, but I just think they're just not getting that little bit of clinical edge at the minute, albeit the XG is actually in their favour, to be fair. The XG has Chelsea at 1.49, Newcastle at 2.11, so basis on the XG, it should be 2-1 in the opposite kind of direction. It should be 2-1 to Newcastle based on the XG, but missed chances, missed opportunities, certainly the key focus, and the fact that Nick Pope kind of bundled into his own net for that second Chelsea goal as they give it away here in the edge of the box through Guimaraes. Nkunku is trying to find this shot, took too long, shot blocked as Nkunku bundling over the top of Guimaraes, but it goes back to Nick Pope. Again, another good chance for Chelsea there to dead the game. Here come Guimaraes with Newcastle. Neto hacking at the Newcastle midfielder. Free kick to the the visitors, and a yellow card for Pedro Neto. His third yellow card of the season. Free kick then. Hold it. Pop it up front. Flicked on, and the bouncing ball from Dan Burn. Goodness me, that will go behind for a goal kick. That was a good opportunity for Newcastle. A lovely ball forward by Hall. It was flicked on. I think it was Longstaff that got on the end of the last touch. Almost getting something out of that for Newcastle, as they're about to make another double change. Here late on. So it will be Osula and Kelly, I believe, that are coming on for Newcastle. So William Osula and Lloyd Kelly. They're going to be replacing Lewis Hall and Joe Linton in the latter stages, with about a minute and a half to go of normal time. So some straight swaps there. Osula in the attacking phase replacing Joe Linton, and Kelly replacing Hall at left back. Lewis Hall, who's actually done really well today, I think, Lewis Hall, both attacking and defending, in the fact that he's had two different attackers to defend in this game. As here come Nkunku in behind, tries to chop back, held there slightly maybe. The referee takes his time and points to the spots. Penalty to Chelsea. He made sure he didn't make a rash decision, Simon Hooper, the referee, and now he's throwing out yellow cards to Longstaff and a few Newcastle players that are not happy with the decision. Initially it looked like Nkunku tried to chop back onto his right foot, and he was kind of pulled back on the way through. See it again, lovely flick on by Palmer. Nkunku takes a lovely touch, and then Burnt gets done, and I think he does pull him back. I don't think this will be overturned. He does pull him back. Yeah. And I don't think the VAR might intervene here. I think this should be a penalty and should stand. Although they are checking it. I mean, to be honest, it's not major amounts of contact, but the one thing I would say is it does impact Christopher Nkunku getting to the ball. That's the point I would look at it. Dan Burn pulls him. Maybe it's minimal, but it's going against the momentum of Christopher Nkunku. He's trying to come back the other way, and he's being held back by Dan Burn and goes to ground. Maybe he goes down a bit easily, but I do think he was held, and therefore, you don't go to ground, you don't get a penalty. And I think this should stand. We'll have 6 added minutes, by the way. We've just hit the 90-minute mark. We have another goal at the London Stadium to tell you about in a moment. I think VAR, Jared Gillett, is taking a long, hard look at this. I don't know why. I think it's pretty clear in my decision, but I think the referee's going to come and have a look at it. He's recommended an on-field review, has Jared Gillett. He clearly feels that there's a clear and obvious error from Simon Hooper here, that this is very soft. Maybe it is soft, but from my point of view, I think he still holds the attacker and denies him a chance of trying to get a goal. I mean, the referee had a very good view of it, so I don't think the referee was like obstructed from seeing the action in course in real time. But it's whether the referee feels that it was enough of a pull. I think it is, personally. And the referee is having a look at the screen. He's come away, he's made his decision, and the decision is no penalty. So the decision is overturned. Maybe a bit of justice for Dan Burn, who knows? In my opinion, I think it was a penalty. But what happens and what matters is what the referee thinks, and that is no penalty. So Chelsea don't get the chance to make it the third goal, and it will be a drop ball for Newcastle. Speaking of late chances and late goals, there's been a late possible winner at the London Stadium. West Ham took the lead. Manchester United rescued at 1-1. Well, they're going to have to rescue again, because from the penalty spot, Jared Bowen has scored what could be the winner for West Ham United. There are 12 added minutes. There are only 6 into the 7th minute of those. So therefore, there's a long way to go in added time. And there's a long time for Manchester United to try and get a second equaliser. It is West Ham 2, Manchester United 1. And they were played 97 minutes of 12 added there at the London Stadium. Elsewhere at Sellers Park, they're into the 5th minute of 7 added between Crystal Palace and Tottenham. And it's still Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham 0. Tottenham still the second best in that game, really, and the scoreline shows it. As Chelsea get a free kick here, 3 minutes or so to go. We might have a bit more under the 6 added here at Stamford Bridge with that VAR call, as Willock picks the pocket of Pedro Neto. He tried to come forward, but Palmer threatening and pressing as Newcastle pump it clear. Nowhere to go for Asula there. And Chelsea clear it out for the throw. I think Chelsea have just gone to a bit of damage limitation, really, and just manage this game. Make sure that you hold it at 2-1. Although Nkunku does really well at winning the ball, but the foul has been given in favour of Bruno Guimaraes and Newcastle, and against Chelsea, which certainly doesn't get a good reaction from the home crowd. Enzo Maresca is absolutely incessantly angry on the sideline. I can probably see why. He probably feels that that's 2 big situations that's gone against Chelsea to possibly finish this game. But with those 2 decisions going against his team, keeps Newcastle with a chance. Albeit, it does get Maresca a yellow card. And it gets Christopher Nkunku a yellow card, which I think is a bit harsh. Really, it's not a yellow card foul, but it's a foul. It's a bit soft. Here is Bruno Guimaraes. 90 seconds of the 6 added to go. It's going to be a time for Chelsea or Newcastle to get an equaliser. It is now. As Caicedo puts that one out, it will be a Newcastle throw. It will be Isak that will take. Goes down the line to Dan Burn. Burn with the ball across the box. Asula was the closest, but away by Colwill. Nkunku tries to make a threat of himself, and he does this time. Lovely bit of skill. Nkunku, he's got options alongside him. Tries to find Enzo Fernandez, but he's dragged a bit wide. And ultimately, I think he might have been offside as well. Free kick to Newcastle there. I have to say, this has been a a confusing last 5 minutes. Honestly. Yeah. I mean, Nkunku does catch Kelly, but inadvertently, really. As the ball's popped up by Newcastle into the box. Away by Mudryk. Pumped clear that time by Enzo Fernandez, as it will come all the way to Nick Pope, who will try and keep the attack going for Newcastle. But that time the ball will evade everyone there and go out for a Chelsea throw. As we're about to hit the 6 added minutes, so that has come to an end. So we will be playing over the 6 now. See how long for. Crystal Palace have their first win of the season. I said there could be a shocker on the cards at Sellers Park. Kind of give me the lottery numbers, really. Crystal Palace have won by 1-0. Jean-Philippe Mateta's goal gets Palace's first win of the season against Tottenham. And Tottenham are Spursy as always, it seems. 1-0 it is finished there. Still going elsewhere in East London between West Ham and Man United, where it's West Ham 2, Manchester United 1. They're into the last 90 seconds there. We're over the added time here, but of course with that VAR check, bit of time added onto the added time, shall we say, as no handball against Longstaff there. Willock tries to pump the ball forward. Palmer in the way of that one as he goes back to try and find it forward, but Nick Pope receives it. Time is surely of the essence now for Newcastle. Nick Pope trying to get as many bodies forward as possible. Oh, not the best of headers there from Fofana. Keeps it alive. Longstaff couldn't find a teammate. Cleared away. Livramento has it now. Still come Newcastle. Desperate times call desperate measures, as they say. Throw in on the right hand side. Murphy takes it quickly. Guimaraes. Now Kelly. They have to get the ball forward here, Newcastle. Here it comes. Ball into the box. Willock heads it across goal. And a good header by Reece James to deny a chance there for Newcastle. Corner will come their way, but that could be crucial from Reece James. Corner incoming. This is surely the last moment of the game. Nick Pope is in the box, so the keeper has come up. It is really damage. Throwing everything. Caution to the wind, as they say for Newcastle here. The referee's taking a bit of a sting out of it. Making sure all is okay with a bit of tussling in the box. That's the corner. Right-footed delivery. Into the box. Pope was the target. But no more. It goes behind. And that is the end of the game. Chelsea have hung on just as they were held on to against them last week when Liverpool did it. And Chelsea have had to do the same this week. Newcastle pushed and probed for a chance at an equaliser. But a strong display in those late moments from Chelsea gets them only their second home win of the season. It's only the second away defeat of the season for Newcastle. But certainly, in recent form, Chelsea have been the better in these meetings between these two. And once again, it's now 3 wins in their last 4 against Newcastle. But the Toon will get a chance at revenge when they bring them back to the St James's Park in 3 days' time for that cup tie in round 4. Final score in the Premier League game, though, it's finished Chelsea 2, Newcastle United 1. There you are. That is the final score at Stamford Bridge. The final score from Palace as well, as Palace get their first win of the season. It means only now 3 teams are winless in this campaign. That is Wolves, Ipswich and Southampton are all without victories. But Crystal Palace take themselves away from that and jump out of the bottom 3. I'll show you the table in just a moment as they beat Tottenham. They're one of only 2 teams not to score this weekend. Tottenham, Southampton are the other. But it was Chelsea that were to hang on against Newcastle at the Bridge. Jackson with the opener, Isak with the equaliser, but it was Cole Palmer, as always, that coolly delivers and coolly finishes to see through Chelsea's victory. We're just waiting on the final score coming in from the London Stadium, and there it is. It has just come through. West Ham United, seemingly topsy-turvy. Manchester United topsy-turvy as always. Maybe wanted to build upon that draw away in midweek, but they have fallen to defeat. Jared Bowen's added time penalty, injury time penalty, wins it for West Ham United. Wow. Home wins galore this afternoon. There has been just 1 away win this weekend, 3 draws, and the rest all home wins. That's obviously counts to 6 home wins, but just 1 away win, and that was Nottingham Forest away at Leicester on Friday night. If Liverpool are going to keep their unbeaten record, their unbeaten away record going, their winning away record going, they're going to have to overcome that little spell that we've had in the Premier League this weekend. 4 home wins. 3 home wins this afternoon, and a lot of home wins this weekend. Right, that is it for this one. We're back in midweek when Tottenham take on Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, along with a splattering of other ties as well. It's blue in London, but it's quite a mix of colours in London. It's blue in West London, it is blue and red in South London, it is claret and blue in East London. Will it be the red of Arsenal or the red of Liverpool in North London? We'll see. We'll find out. Thanks for joining us. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.